Hello friends, welcome back to another Value Vintage Cards video. In this one I am going to run through not the entire run of what I have, but actually just a really unique kind of characteristic of Roy Campanella cards. So I don't have any little fun starting lineups or anything, or any real photographs or anything of Campanella, so I just threw a couple of his non-related cards back there just to at least have a little bit of a clue as to what we're talking about today. But I'm going to show you 5 cards. One I did just acquire via trade. It was a bigger one for me in a trade, and the other ones are kind of all over the place, but it's really focused today not just on Roy Campanella. So there you go, Dodger fans. See you, Mark. But this is absolutely a focus on the pose. So if you know amazing Campanella cards, that has to be on the list. That is such a cool pose. That's such an iconic card. I will say, you know, Value Vintage, I've got it in a 1, but that's a good looking 1. Nothing you can't read on the back. I mean, everything about that card is a heck of a deal. So buy the card, not the grade, right? That is a nice looking 1. And what a great, just crazy cool, iconic image. So much so that you tend to see that a lot. So I love that image. I have a feeling most people do. If you're a collector and understand vintage, and you know, especially Roy Campanella, which who would not like Roy Campanella? Multiple time MVP, such a amazing story. There's your Wheaties card, which obviously takes on the exact same thing. These are cutouts, they're blank backs, mine's ungraded, they're really low cost. So I feel like the Bowman's like the gateway to cool pose Campanella cards. The Wheaties is really the extremely low cost, why wouldn't you pick it up card. And then as we kind of continue down the rabbit hole, you probably stumble across this guy. It's actually a nice grade, especially for me. Burke Ross. So those are going to come with like perforations at the top. So they're tore, so that's not like a defect. That's just expected that that's going to be there. You get a little more of the entire stadium in that, which is actually really cool. So it's almost like the same thing zoomed out. So we got no problems with that. I think that's neat. And then you jump over and you look for how do we get something more scarce. And this is a grade 1 post-playing days, but because of scarcity and coolness, get the 1967 Venezuela tops, the Retirado set. So it's another good one. Josh is running through the entire set. He has the entire thing. I counted the other day when I was talking to him. I have like 31 right now. So I am a little better than 60% of the way through if I want to complete that entire set. I have a feeling by the time I get the big ones that I'm pushing 40 out of 50, then at that point, being a non-set collector, I will still be just annoyed that I haven't quite got there. A lot of what I wouldn't have would be more of the minor cards in that set, if you will. Not that any are cheap, but when you look at the Campy pose again, same as all the rest. So super, super cool. That one is the most expensive thing on the screen right now. Even in a grade 1, that will absolutely draw a premium. Very scarce. Most of those Venezuelans in that year, you're talking populations of, you know, 40 to 60s, 70s. I don't know. There's raw ones out there. So I would say round high. Maybe there's 100 that exist, but that's probably being generous. So pretty darn scarce. And the last one is one that I did just acquire. It was a partial trade, partial cost me some dollars. I was watching one in auction, it got away, went higher than I expected, and then another one came up for sale, and I just reached out directly to the seller and said, where can it be on price? It didn't quite sell. And then I said, well, it's still salty. Anyway, we can do a little bit of a partial trade. And they were open to that, which is definitely good for me, because that was really the easiest way to make that happen. So same pose, still zoomed out. Actually, it's really, really close. Maybe a little more of a landscape, but it looks very much like the Burke Ross. And I know folks that are into collecting that will recognize it right away. It's the Stallmeyer 1953 Campanella. I believe it's the only Stallmeyer, you know, they only did Stallmeyers really for a few years. I think it's the only one of Campanella. You know, there's obviously some really big hitters. There's Mantle and Mays and some other people in there, but to me, Campanella's one of the neater stories. These are really scarce too. The populations on these is, you know, in the dozens, nowhere near 100 as far as I have seen, and I doubt there's a ton of them sitting out there ungraded. But you know, it's beat up. I'm never going to judge that. I'm thrilled to have it. These things in eaten condition are still tough to find and pricey and all the things. So really happy to have that, and the back is still completely able to be read. How fun is that? So if you haven't seen one of these guys in person, it is bigger. Just give you some perspective. So it's more like what exhibit postcard kind of size in terms of the slab, so you can stack it with a postcard. But I am thoroughly, heartily enjoying having this thing. We kind of negotiated back and forth. I ended up buying another somewhat interestingly big card, so I thought this had passed me by, and then I kind of came up with the idea of maybe we can do a partial trade. So I'm taking a couple of my duplicates off my hands made all of that possible. So not my Campanella run, it is my Campanella iconic pose run, if you will. And I try to always have these, whether it's in the description. If you don't read the descriptions, please do. Sometimes I forget to actually ask it while I'm recording, and I'm a one-take kind of guy. So the thing I'm wondering is, are there any of this pose that I am missing? Got the Bowman, got the Burke Ross, got the Wheaties, got the Venezuelan, got the Stallmeyer, which I'm thrilled to have that thing added to my mix. But other than these 5, are there more? If so, will you give them to me? No. Where can I find them? I don't know. They've escaped me at this point if there is more. So let's share some knowledge. I would appreciate that in the comments. And yeah. Thanks. That's my Campanella super cool pose run. See you guys next time.